From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. I am Nick Beres. This is a live program coming to you on this Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. A lot of people still, the talk is, all right, did you get your stimulus check yet? Your neighbor got it and you didn't. What's going on? I know my son is waiting for his. A bunch of his friends have gotten theirs and he hasn't had his yet, but it's because he just filed his taxes, and we're going to get into why sometimes there are delays along the line. But if you have questions this morning about, the stimulus payment, if you have questions about your taxes and where we stand on all of that and how you're being given more time to file if you haven't already, or if you're wondering why you haven't had your return yet, this is the show to call in on. We'll try to give you advice on where you can check to monitor all this stuff and try to answer some of your questions as well. I want to remind you, we are going to be coming to you right now on the Plus, obviously. You see the number there on the screen. And we're also streaming live on Facebook at newschannel5.com. So if you're watching us on the computer, on your web, message me there, and I'll pass the question that you may or may not have on to our guest, who is none other than Dr. Friday, our financial expert. Good morning to you, ma'am. It's nice to have you on.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you.
How was your weekend? I'm just curious along the lines of, do you get any time off right now? This is a busy time of year for you.
Right. We don't have any expectation of time off until usually I thought I was going to have to go to April the 15th. But as you just mentioned, we are now going to May 17th is the new filing deadline. It's been crazy the last 2 years, 25 years of almost doing taxes, always having an April 15th deadline, give or take a day or two. Now the last 2 years really making some changes, but they were necessary this time with the American Rescue Plan passing almost a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They made some tax changes for the 2020 tax year, and it's huge. So we do need to have a little extra time to get things correct.
Yeah, that's what you said. We kind of discussed the possibility. Last year it was July, right? So it gave us even more time. This year, I always wait till April 15th to plant my tomatoes, so it's thrown my garden off, but I'll still do that. So yeah, the extra time. Now, does this mean then, again, there are folks out there who have already filed and received their returns, right? If they jumped on it early for their taxes. There are others who wait, and so now this means that they can put off filing until May 17th, correct, without paying any penalty?
That is 100% correct. Extensions will need to be filed on or before May 17th if you plan to extend. And if you're making payment, May 17th is the deadline. But keep in mind, I know I have 40 returns in office right now where people rushed to get them filed on we had to do February 12th was the opening day. And they had unemployment benefits. And they changed that particular tax law. If you make less than $75,000 or a married couple making under 150, the first $10,200 is tax-free.
Right.
So the IRS says do not amend those returns. They're going to get that corrected on their side and send additional refunds, because that's a big question coming in all day, last couple days. Do I need to go back and amend? Do I need to go back? The IRS is saying no. They're going to correct it and then send you back your refund. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Okay, good. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people may have thought they had to amend it. Wait, I just found this out after I filed. Is there anything else where people do or would have to go back and amend a refund based on what we've seen now with the new stimulus plan? Anything else jump into mind?
Well, I think the next biggest question is someone else got my refund, meaning an ex-husband, I was married, or I was someone every other year we claim the children. They based it on 19. I should have gotten it because it's 20. And there is quite a bit of resolution coming along the lines. We don't have all the answers. But the first place I would say is go to irs.gov and click on status of stimulus. And that way people can actually find out if it's even been released before we go into the conversation who received it.
It's so frustrating when they go to that. I told you before the show, my son is in the process of waiting for his stimulus check, and he's gone on to that IRS, and I don't know, you see different messages that come up when they give you no info, like we don't have enough information, or what, I don't know what it says, or we can't give you this yet. And I've heard a lot of other people getting the same thing. When that happens, and sometimes it's like, well, we don't. It's written in such a way that it leads some people to believe maybe they don't have them in the system. I just think it's poorly written. You're there, but it's not able to give you any answers. What is it you understand when you get onto that irs.gov, do that search my stimulus tab, and then you get no information back? Is that usually that they're just backlogged, the system's kind of jammed?
Well, I think we're finding two different things. One thing we're finding is some people did file 2019, but they did it either through the mail or late, and the system hasn't been updated. So they're basically basing it on 18, and they may have been a dependent in 18. 19, they filed on their own. If 19 hasn't processed properly, then actually they don't know that they're on their own because the last record they had was 18. So they're really just, the information is confusing to the IRS at this moment. So they're basically putting, I agree, it's not well written. Instead of saying that there's a process or give us something, but the problem is every letter you receive, there's a phone number. The phone number is coming up busy saying that there's too many people calling, please call back later. It's more frustrating than helpful to the taxpayer.
Yeah, I agree. It's confusing, and then everyone is just so uptight about whether they're going to get that money or not, and different amounts. Some people say that they've gotten a check, but it wasn't the full amount, you know, and they're wondering why that is, and there can be a lot of reasons for that, right? I mean, it's supposed to be $1,400 in general, right, per individual.
It's all based on, yeah, right, and it's all based on income. So if they based it on your 2019s, possibly, maybe you made $155,000, so they would have tested you out a portion of it. Even though if you filed in 2020, it's maybe that your return hasn't processed. I know I have quite a few people that are basically saying, I filed it on February 12th. I had you file it. Why am I getting a lesser amount? But the government obviously is using 19 instead of 20. We don't know how they're selecting that information.
Okay, yeah. So if some people may have thought, all right, I went ahead and applied for my taxes, or I didn't apply yet, I'm putting it off. They realize now that if they had gone ahead and done it, they might have gotten more money, something like that. So you just have to go with what you've got, right? There's not much you can do as a result of that.
Right. I mean, we don't know, we know for the last two, Nick, you know, they basically based it on 18 and they say they're basing it on 19, but really they based it on 20. So if your income in 2020 was lower than either of those years, you still qualified for the additional stimulus. We don't know how they're going to correct or do anything with the $1,400 at this point. We don't have any idea. Okay.
And real quick, some of the basic stuff. I'm getting some emails, or rather, you know, messages here on Facebook from folks. Like Mary's asking again, how much do kids get? And break down what that means, a child, and how old and what it is and how much you'll get. I do know, in fact, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He has 6 children. They got a whopper of a check, but go ahead.
And my family would have been great, right, Nick? There was 8 kids and mom and dad. We would have done wonderful at the time. But okay, so this one is different than the other ones. This one is $1,400 for every dependent and individual. It doesn't make a difference of age. It doesn't make a difference of status. If you claim your parents on your tax return, you'll get $1,400. Excuse me, or children. Either way, it's all $1,400.
Gotcha. So it adds up. Count your kids. You'll get the feel for that. Listen, before we take our first break, let's take a few phone calls for you. We've got a lot of calls. And again, you're welcome to message us. We're on Facebook as well, newschannel5.com right now, and I'll try to get those to her as well. But let's go to Pat real quick. Pat, good morning. Hi, Pat.
Good morning.
What can we do for you?
Yes, I'm on disability, and I haven't got my stimulus check yet. Everybody is saying that we're going to get them when we get our checks this month, but some people are saying if you owe any past bills, they're going to keep them. What's true, what's not?
Okay, good question.
Great question. Very good question. And that's something we weren't too sure because with the stimulus, the first stimulus, we all know part of it went back-to-back child support. They couldn't use it for IRS. Second one, the 100% had to go to the taxpayer. None of it could be used for back debt. This one, 100% is supposed to go to the taxpayer. Nothing's supposed to go to back debt. Now, if you end up claiming it on the recovery credit, the IRS was keeping it, but they just passed something that a newsletter came out and said they were going to return any recovery credits available to the people. Now, I don't know how quickly that's going to happen, but that's a great question. You should be getting it. Again, I know that the bill passed, about a week and a half ago on Thursday? Yep. Is that right, Nick? You know, so last Thursday. So it's about a week when Thursday comes, so we're a little further in. The IRS has sent out, I don't know, like 1.2 million, either between checks or direct deposits. Last I counted, there's like 300 or something million people or something like that. So there's a lot more to go out, is all I'm going to say. So I think we need to give them a little bit more time. They're getting faster and faster, though. But
the money will go in the way it did with, I assume in her case, her prior stimulus, if she got one, or also it's going to go the same way she collects her SSI. It'll go directly into the account.
Right. I have had some people that have said that they were able to, the first one they got through a check, the second one they got in their bank, the third one they're not sure how they're going to receive. I'm going to assume however you received the last one, the $600 at least, would be the same direction that you'll receive the third stimulus payment. That, again, is a guess because they seem like they're coming in different formats sometimes.
And is there, true to this, folks that are now getting the stimulus payment now that maybe didn't qualify before, are they getting that money this time now on top of what they get? It's not like you get, if you didn't qualify for that $600 that first time for whatever reason, but this time you're getting the $1,400, would you get that back pay? Is anyone getting that under any circumstance, going back for any circumstance?
Well, I mean, again, when we filed the 2020, as long as their 2020 tax return qualified them for the $1,200 and the $600, they will get it as part of their refund.
Okay.
So yes, we are recapturing those two,
Gotcha.
and then obviously, again, not too sure how the $1,400 is going to come back on, but right now it's based on either your 19 or 20 tax return.
Gotcha. I'll tell you, Dr. Friday, this stuff just gets confusing to me. I think I confused myself asking you questions. I'm just going to let our viewers do it when we come back. So I see some more coming in right now on Facebook. I'll get those to share them with the doctor, as well as lots of phone calls for you. So I'll shut up. We'll take all of those as soon as we come back from this break. Stay with us.